Here we go. So first of all, look where I am. I'm with my sister. Bible study live with sisters in North Carolina and sisters in Chicago. And who else knows where the sisters are going to be tuning in from, but live from North Carolina, I'm here with my sister Gina. So welcome to Bible Study Live, and Latrice is up there. You can't see her yet, but you'll see her in a moment. But we are going to be finishing up our theme of love story, hotness in the Bible, with a discussion about love stories in the Bible. And we finally get to read from the steamy Song of Solomon. So we will be reading about that. But actually, Latrice, if you're open to it, I'd like to do it backwards today. I want to read last. So I want to start with a discussion if you're willing to come on camera. I'm going to remove the pin. So Jean, come on in. All right, there she is. There's the sister. So we're talking about love stories in the Bible, and I was looking up to see when you look up great love stories or greatest love stories in the Bible, which ones they list. And then it made me think about marriage. In my marriage, our marriages collectively, which ones are most like the marriages in the Bible, because they're talking about these as the greatest love stories, and all of them had some issues, which lets us know marriage can have some challenges. So last week we talked about forbidden love, and there was a whole bunch of forbidden hotness in the Bible where people wanted somebody that wasn't theirs and shouldn't have been theirs, and they made it happen, and then things got way messy, or they didn't make it happen because Potiphar's wife was not successful. But we talked about the forbidden love. Now we're talking about love that actually, they get to be together. So I've kind of subtitled these. Gina started me off and we were talking about Adam and Eve, because that's the first one they list when you look up biblical love stories and, greatest love stories in the Bible, Adam and Eve. And Gina said, didn't we almost have it all? And that's just so true. It was the first love. It was the first love between man and woman. But it's interesting that right out of the gate, they threw each other under the bus. That woman you gave me, you gave me, and not that my beautiful bride. She convinced me. She was so loving and convincing, and I would do whatever she said. Nope. That woman. And of course she said, that serpent you put in the garden, so it's on you, God. That isn't necessarily the love that I would want. Adam and Eve, when I think of biblical love, that's not it. Is that the one y'all want? How do you feel about the Adam and Eve kind of love? You got to unmute.
I agree with you. I don't think that's the kind of love that I would want.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to put an X on that one. So that's a no. Then we have Ruth and Boaz, or Boaz and Ruth. And that's kind of second time around, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know if he had been married. I don't know if he'd ever been married, but I know she had, her husband had died. Mm-hmm. I assume, but I don't know, that he was older than her, that it was an older man and a younger woman, is my understanding. I don't know that it says in there what the ages were, but it was a more mature love, more protecting. I hear, they talk about it in the church, oh, I want my Boaz and all of that. I like the way that he's protective of her and how he's a good man trying to do the right thing. And he recognizes that he has to check with some other people before he can take her as his wife. It doesn't make my soul sing, though. Like with other people who talk about, oh, my Boaz. I'm like, I don't want Boaz. I don't really want Boaz. but I understand his character. There were things that showed his character. And yes, I want a man of strong character. There's no question. How about you guys? Boaz and Ruth, what will they do for you?
Well, I mean, I can see why several women that I know in church and outside of church say it constantly. And it makes me reflect on the fact that, she went through a tough time before she got to Boaz, right? So it puts me in the mindset of, and it's funny that the women that I know who say that, it is a second time around. They've been through a tough situation, a tough marriage. And I think that they're looking for that protection.
And I can see that. Yeah.
So maybe that's the connection.
Yeah. What do you think, sister?
I think if you've had a marriage before, then you've had the passion probably. You've had that you that can't wait to see each other, but then you've also had the volatility that goes with that. So and maybe some of the situation you're dealing with now is the offshoot of whatever that was. So yeah, I could see looking for something where there's peace at home rather than the question about whether you're gonna fight or make up or both, or
I think Boaz represents strength, protection, security,
stability.
stability.
I could see wanting that.
Those are things, especially the second time around.
It's not sexy,
Right. You're like, I had all that. That didn't work.
When you've been through something, stability gets sexier and sexier.
Yeah.
My ex-husband used to say all the time, I would say, I just want romance. And he would say, romance is when you turn on the light and the light comes on because I paid the bill. And I get so mad. But now I'm like, oh, I just need to turn on, you know what I mean? It's something about being able to turn on that switch. Not that I'm having that problem, but I'm just saying I understand now. But that was his mentality. That's your romance right there. You can see when you need to turn on the light.
And I get that. You're right. Strength, protection, security, stability. I do agree with that, because at this stage in my life, and even earlier, but being able to feel safe with somebody emotionally, financially, physically, that is important to me. There's no question. And frankly, that first couple, Adam didn't do that. He didn't protect his wife like that. He threw her under the bus in front of God. And Boaz was not that guy. So I give Boaz some points there. Hopefully there would be some attraction, because sometimes when there's no attraction and you're supposed to still have a relationship, it's hard because there's no attraction and it becomes just very dutiful and
putting on that chore list right between the dishes and the laundry.
Right. and that
there are also times where though people can see the beauty of someone's inside of their soul and that outside. And I think that for some people, after they've had tall, dark, handsome, all of that in a bag of chips, it's like, I fell in love with his soul. I've heard women say that. And then now he's beautiful to me on the outside, because that's radiating from the inside out.
And that I get.
Yeah.
I in fact, there are, like, if somebody just, put up some of the guys that I find attractive because of their intellect and their integrity, they'd say, I know you don't find that little nerdy guy attractive, but I do.
Yes, to you.
It's inside shining through, like you said. So yeah, I don't mean that he has to be beautiful looking. I meant exactly what you're talking about. Something about him has to be attractive, other than the fact that he checks the strength and security and protection box.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Totally.
Exactly. I'm not attracted to my dad. So
right.
I want somebody where there's some additional attraction. All right. The next couple they listed was Abraham and Sarah, which, as we know, also had the original baby mama drama because she offered up her handmaiden Hagar, and he just willingly,
Like bonus.
right? Like, okay, I mean, if that's what you want, sure.
That and the sister thing, right? Isn't it?
Yes, he would always introduce her as a sister. And that, to me, that speaks to another kind of weakness. He was so afraid. I know maybe it was protection. He was afraid they'd be killed, or that they'd take her, or they'd kill him. And I get that. It says that he said that. But I also feel like, you know, wrong or right, I'm still attracted to David. I'm gonna just keep it real, keep it a buck. David is my dude. He is, you know. So I want the one who's bold enough to tell the truth and back it up. So it really bothered me that Abraham, knowing what God came and told him directly about Sarah being the mother of the child that, you know, father of many nations, knowing that God himself came to Abraham and Sarah was there, and then when she was like, well, it's not working, so here, take my handmaiden, he should have been like, baby, God said it's going to be through you. We're going to be patient. I bet it would have been faster if that had happened. But because he was busy with Hagar, you know, he was probably neglecting his marital duties with Sarah. It's at least at certain times. Anyway, I don't want Abraham. That marriage is not one that, you know, he what it reminds me of is, and I'm not going to say emasculated, but she was running him. She said, you go sleep with Hagar. Then when Hagar had the child, she was like, put that woman and her child out of my house. And okay, he felt bad. He didn't want to have to do it, but he did it. And she was running him. I don't want a man that I have to run. I don't want to do that. That's not sexy. He's like, oh no.
Like somebody out there.
It was a delivery, and Holly's like, and just as happy. You can see her little tail wagging.
Right, I see. She's like, I saved you.
Holly.
I love Holly.
Okay, that's enough noise now, Holly. I know, but it's enough noise. No licking.
Go lay down. Go lay down. Good job. Good job. Go lay down, Pickles.
So the next one they listed was, so that's a no on Abraham. Hard pass on Abraham. Boaz, I understand. Isaac and Rebekah. So my issue with them, you know, is that they were playing favorites. She liked Jacob, he liked Esau. And the issue with playing favorites with your children is not only what it does to the children, it's also that she coached Jacob in how to steal the birthright, you know, dress up like Esau, do all of that. And my issue is that Isaac and Rebekah were supposed to be the team. In a marriage, you two are the team. You're supposed to have a unified front. It shouldn't be you can pit one kid against the other with the parent, you know, this is mine, that one's yours. That should never happen. And I don't know enough about Isaac to feel strongly about him, except for the fact that I didn't like their marriage. That's what I didn't like. The marriage that they had was not attractive to me. I actually, in my marriage, I remember there was a situation where, because to me, husband and wife are supposed to be the team. And my dad came in town and he was like, well, I told your husband, so we're gonna, and I was like, no. He and I already agreed. This is man's business. And even though me and my husband had already agreed on something, he was like, yeah, this is man's, but like he threw me right under, like, oh, I'm aligning over here. And it bothered me so much. And my thing is in a marriage, in any relationship, but especially a romantic relationship, y'all are supposed to be the team. And that should never happen where you're playing one against the other, using the kids to, go fool your daddy. Like all of that, that's just messy. That's messy. And that marriage, they consider it one of the great love stories in the Bible. I'm like, I don't see love there. That's not loving to me. So for me, that's a thumbs down.
I don't know Isaac that well, but he didn't pick a good wife. Tell you that much.
There's that. He might not have picked a good wife. So how well do you know Isaac, Tracy?
Not very well, not in depth.
Yeah. So sorry, Isaac, you're off the list. Then there's Jacob, Rachel, and Leah. Now, and this is an issue of sibling rivalry. I know Jacob got played. I know he got played, but it's interesting that Jacob got played after he played his brother, right? He sowed a seed and then he reaped it.
Mm-hmm.
That's real.
That's true.
But his love for Rachel, if that had just been the love story, Jacob and Rachel, I'd have been all over it. I will work 7 years for her. Yes. But the fact that the okie doke got pulled on him, which again was based on the seed he sowed. And then he ended up marrying Leah as well. And then going back and forth between the two and the pitting the two against each other. Because how can you, when you're married to, first of all, they did this kind of stuff in the Bible, but you married to more than one person. How are you the team then? How do you create the team? Because Rachel and Leah never were the team again. Never. I don't care how close they were as sisters at some point, that ended once they were both vying for Jacob's love. And Rachel had it, but he also did fulfill his obligations to Leah, not only marriage week, but throughout. She had a bunch of babies for him. Rachel had 2. Leah had a bunch. Then they're both offering up their handmaidens. So you got Zilpah and it was messy. And I wish the story had ended with Jacob and Rachel. Then I could be like, I like him like I like David. But, honestly, after 7 years, he was a literal hot mess. And he got in that bed and didn't know who he was with. He was blinded by hotness. And that's a shame. So I don't understand blended marriages where they, what do they call it when polygamous, polyamorous? Yeah, that's a hard pass. So
you wonder if he could have, if Rachel and Leah's father would have given him Rachel had he not taken Leah. You get the impression that he may not have been able to get Rachel.
Except that when Jacob held Laban to his word, Laban had to step up. He's like, this is what you told me. You promised me this. Laban was shady, no doubt. But if he had stopped, in the middle of the wedding ceremony or whatever they were doing and been like, oh, hold on. Because first of all, where was Rachel while he was marrying Leah? Had Laban locked her in a room? Like, where was she? They don't talk about that. This is supposed to be her wedding day. What did Daddy do with the daughter?
She was obedient. She must have been.
She was what?
Obedient.
Oh.
Dad probably told her, you'll get him, but you got to go do this over here.
I wish somebody would. For real. That would be so awful.
But yeah, on paper, the love story, if you could just cut out the little love story, he worked 7 years for her. Yeah.
And that's how most people talk about it. They just talk about that how much he loved her, and that he got to marry her 7 years and a week later, and then worked an additional 7 years because he had said he would. So basically he worked 14 years, 7 and a week before he got to marry her, but 14 to, I still feel like when people talk about it as, oh, the Jacob and Leah love story, I feel like, y'all, come on now. That's not the whole story. He was also married to her sister and he had babies with her handmaiden. So, but the shame of it is that he really did reap what he sowed. He put a fast one on his daddy and got his brother's blessing. And then daddy pulled a fast one on him and the sister got her sister's blessing. I mean, really, that reap what you sow thing is really serious. So the next one is Samson and Delilah. They included this one. And, you know, I think of Donna Summer's song, Bad Girl.
Right.
Hey, beep, beep.
I'm like, no, we can ask that one right away.
Right.
Right? It's off the list. We don't want that relationship, but also Samson was like a tough dude. He was doing the thing, but he was so weak-minded. He could fall for the okie doke so fast because it wasn't just with Delilah. It was with the wife too, before Delilah.
Yeah, you don't want a man that you can tell that the sky is green and he'll be like, okay.
Right. Right. No, it's purple. Oh, wow. Is it? Seriously.
Right. No, it's not. You're not going to get me again. It really is purple.
That's who he was. He was
Right.
football. He was Charlie Brown with the football.
Right.
Not as pitiful in all the other areas, but that football, it was his Achilles heel every time. Right. And then they also listed Joseph and Mary because he still married her. But I will say this, he did still marry her. The angel said, don't put her away and divorce her. She really is pregnant with the Lord, but we don't really hear a lot about their love story. We know they stayed married. We know they had more children. But other than the fact that he said, okay, I'll marry her and stay married to her. I don't know enough about Joseph other than that.
Other than Joseph was obedient.
He was obedient.
That's a great characteristic.
It is.
Yeah, obedient to God.
He's obedient to the Lord.
Right. And he must have been a pretty good dad.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
That's true.
They were great
I don't know
parents.
what to call him, but
Yeah, they were great parents. If you look up, you know, Joseph and Mary, all of the articles and the biblical readings say that they were great parents. It spelled it out. So
and they stayed obedient. They both stayed obedient.
Good father.
Said, take the baby and go here, or don't come back here.
And he was telling Joseph that. He would tell Joseph in a dream, not Mary.
Yeah. So good parent, that's a good thing.
It is. Good dad and obedient to God. That's good.
Right.
That's all good. Yeah, okay. All right. I'll put him back on the
You get
list.
2 points.
He gets a couple of points. He gets a couple of points. So then they listed, and I'm gonna do a little reading now from Solomon, Song of Solomon. They listed Solomon and the Shulamite woman, because that's what this whole book is about. But I will tell you this, as we know, Solomon and all his wives and concubines and all of that, it was not pleasing to God. So even though this hot book is in the Bible, when you know, he felt like all his messy mess was the downfall of him. And so you know, I was gonna read a couple of things because they had a whole way of talking to each other, and I thought about it. If we could combine some of these characteristics, the obedience and the good dad and the strength and protection and security and stability, and you know, the David part, the romance of Jacob before he messed up with Leah. If we could just, and clearly we can't because they're all separate, right? It's like you got to spin the wheel and you get one. So, or maybe a couple, but I mean, I'm reading about this and reading how he talks about his boo. So I'm going to read chapter 4 and I'm going to read chapter 7. So in chapter 1, though, if you want to go back and read it, they're going back and forth. Oh, my love. Oh, da-da. Oh, da-da. But in chapter 4, he goes in. He says, how beautiful you are, my darling. Oh, how beautiful. Your eyes behind your veil are doves. Your hair is like a flock of goats descending from Mount Gilead. Your teeth are like a flock of sheep just shorn, coming up from the washing. Each has its twin. Not one of them is alone. Your lips are like, it's a lot. It's a lot. Your lips are like a scarlet ribbon. Your mouth is lovely. Your temples behind your veil are like the halves of a pomegranate. Your neck is like the Tower of David, built with elegance. On it hang 1,000 shields, all of them shields of warriors. Your 2 breasts are like 2 fawns, like twin fawns of a gazelle that browse among the lilies. Until the day breaks and the shadows flee, I will go to the mountain of myrrh and to the hill of incense. All beautiful you are, my darling. There is no flaw in you. So I guess what's that metaphor, simile? I will go to the mountain of myrrh and to the hill of incense. I think that's
the allegory.
right. Allegory. I'm like, what is it? Which one is it? Simile, metaphor, allegory? Come with me from Lebanon, my bride. My bride. So he's talking to one of his brides. Come with me from Lebanon. Descend from the crest of Amana, from the top of Siner, the summit of Hermon, from the lion's dens and the mountain haunts of the leopards. You have stolen my heart, my sister, my bride. You have stolen my heart with one glance of your eyes, with one jewel of your necklace. How delightful is your love, my sister, my bride. How much more pleasing is your love than wine, and the fragrance of your perfume than any spice. Your lips drop sweetness as the honeycomb, my bride. Milk and honey are under your tongue. It's smoky. The fragrance of your garments is like that of Lebanon. You are a garden locked up, my sister, my bride. You are a spring enclosed, a sealed fountain. Your plants are an orchard of pomegranates. So what are the plants? Anyway, with choice fruits, with henna and nard and saffron, calamus and cinnamon, with every kind of incense tree, with myrrh and aloes and all the finest spices. You are a garden fountain, a well of flowing water streaming down from Lebanon. And then this is her speaking because she's beloved. Awake, north wind, and come, south wind, blow on my garden, that its fragrance may spread abroad. Let my lover come into his garden and taste his choice fruits. Okay. Right. Need some ice water. And then the last chapter I want to read from here is chapter 7, where they're again talking to each other. So first he says, how beautiful your sandaled feet, O princess daughter. Your graceful legs are like jewels, the work of a craftsman's hands. Your navel is a rounded goblet that never lacks blended wine. Your waist is a mound of wheat encircled by lilies. Your breasts are like 2 fawns, twins of a gazelle. Your neck is like an ivory tower. Your eyes are the pools of Heshbon by the gate of Bath Rabbim. Your nose is like the tower. Your nose is like the tower of Lebanon looking toward Damascus. Your head crowns you like Mount Carmel. Your hair is like royal tapestry. The king is held captive by its tresses. Thank you, sister. Oh, how beautiful you are and how pleasing, oh love, with your delights. Your stature is like that of the palm, and your breasts like clusters of fruit. I said, I will climb the palm tree. I will take hold of its fruit. May your breasts be like the clusters of the vine, the fragrance of your breath like apples, and your mouth like the best wine. And she responds, may the wine go straight to my lover, flowing gently over lips and teeth. I belong to my lover, and his desire is for me. Come, my lover, let us go to the countryside. Let us spend the night in the villages. Let us go early to the vineyards to see if the vines have budded, if their blossoms have opened, and if the pomegranates are in bloom. There I will give you my love. The mandrakes send out their fragrance, and at our door is every delicacy, both new and old, that I have stored up for you, my lover. That's some steaminess. That's some steaminess right there. That's some hotness in the Bible. So anyway, we're looking for the man who will write us those letters, those poems, and talk about, describe us like that, savor us, and be an obedient man of God. So obedient to God, be a good father if that's necessary. Gabriel missed it. And of course, make us feel safe and be a man of strength and protection, security, and stability. All of that. So Gabriel, you missed all the hotness. I just read some Solomon. Woo, child. Gina's over here fanning. I'm trying to get some ice water. It's a lot. So you should read chapter 4 and chapter 7 of Song of Solomon. But we ran through what are considered the greatest love stories in the Bible. And to recap, Adam and Eve, we crossed Adam out. Gina called that, didn't we almost have it all? But yeah, that's crossed out. Boaz and Ruth, he got points. He has strength, protection, security, stability. We called that one second time around. Abraham and Sarah, no, she ran her man. We don't appreciate that. That was original baby mama drama. It's too much. Isaac and Rebekah, they were playing favorites with their kids against each other, and they're supposed to be the team. He's off the list. Jacob, Rachel, and Leah, sibling rivalry. If he could have just kept Rachel, if it could have just been those two, if they could have stopped the story there, we would have been all in. But you add in Leah and then the handmaidens, messy. Samson and Delilah was just off the list right out the gate. But we decided Samson was like Charlie Brown with the football. He got taken every time. He was like, okay, you didn't really tell me the truth, but tell me now. Okay, and he kicked that football in messy. And then Mary and Joseph, we don't read a lot about him, but we know he was obedient to God. God spoke to him. He was a good father, a good parent. So he got some points too. And then we read about Solomon and the Shulamite woman and all of that sexiness. So I've decided I want a combination of Solomon, David, even though it's forbidden love, Joseph, and Boaz. And I don't think that's too much to ask for. God, you created them all, so you could do a package. That's what I'm thinking. Anyway, so we had a whole conversation. We checked off some people, and we gave some people some points. So Boaz got some points. He got some points. Joseph got some points. That's pretty much it. And then Solomon, he was messy. I mean, he was passionate, no doubt. He writes good poetry. He said all the things. Those love letters were the bomb. Yeah, you got it. You got twin.
Right, every tooth has a twin.
Yes.
They're like the sheep that have been shorn, right? I'm like,
why my teeth gotta look like sheep?
yes.
But yeah, every tooth.
Yes.
Got the fawns. Yes, the gazelles.
Twin fawns.
Twin fawn, yes. And pomegranates. He also called them pomegranates and bunches of fruit.
Yes.
So yeah, he went all the way there. And I don't know if she's the only one he wrote these little letters to, or if he was writing them to, that's the score of wives that he had. I don't know. Because that's a lot. I would want him to only be writing them to me and only be married to me. I'm not interested in polyamory. I don't want sister wives. No, I'm good. No, I get a handmaiden to help with those dishes, and she doesn't have to sleep with my husband to make some more babies. So anyway, that was our last installment of Hotness in the Bible. I don't even know what August is supposed to be. I didn't bring my sheet with me. I'm here with my sister in North Carolina. So I don't have with me what August is supposed to be. Wisdom, maybe? I can't remember. It seems like it might be wisdom because Spring is going to be our guest speaker during August, but I can't remember what the topic is, but I think it's wisdom. You think it's wisdom too? Okay. Dave Brown thinks it's wisdom.
I think
So
so too. I think Spring mentioned it.
yes. All right. Well, thank you, ladies, for being with us for Hotness in the Bible. There was a whole bunch of hotness tonight. So anyway, I appreciate it. And I'm going to say farewell to Facebook. Bye, Facebook.
Bye, Facebook.